Yeah, hello. Now let us look at how to import or get data into R for analysis. Okay. Yeah, so we're actually going to use a couple of packages and then functions to be able to learn how to import data into R. So before you do that, let us look at, so if you look at on the lecture slides, I given a couple of packages to do that. So for instance, let us try to make use of the read package, okay? Now, before you can use the read package to import your data, you have to install what is called a tidyverse, which is a very powerful tool for several analysis you might want to perform in R. And along the line, we will be using this tidyverse package more often, okay? So, but then, so to install any package, you just have to use the install.package. Once you start typing install.packages, I'll give you, and then you can now type that package. So let's say tidyverse. So you see a pop-up, you can just click on it, and then you can now run that line, or you can highlight on it and then just run it to install. But I have already installed it, so there's no point to install. Now, another way to also install a package is you can use, if you look at the bottom left panel, where we have file plot packages. So you can use the search button, okay, to search, let's say tidyverse. Okay, so once it comes, you can now check on it. You can check and then you can click on it and it will go ahead and then have it installed. So after you have installed the package, of course, you have to make sure you activate or load that package, okay? So when you install tidyverse, make sure you load the tidyverse. Another package in which you have to also load is the read package, okay? So let's load the read package. Now, once you have loaded, it is now activated for use, okay? So we are going to import a CSV file, okay? Now to import CSV file using the read package, we are going to have read underscore CSV. So let's say we are going to name our data as DF, okay? The data we are coming to import, let's assume we name that data DF, but I mean, you can name your data anyhow. And then let's say we use read underscore CSV, which is the function we are actually going to use to be able to read and import our data, okay? Now, what you have to do is you have to copy the path of your data set, okay? So what I wrote here is I replace this path with the actual path of your data. So for example, if you go to your data set, which I have all the data in on Canvas. So once I've downloaded the data, for instance, let's say if we want to make use of this data, let's say we want to make use of the iris data, okay? So we have to know the path of this data set. And you have to make sure this data is what is CSV, which is comma separated values file. Okay. So if you right click on this data, you can go to properties. Now, once you go to properties, we have the location. So you can actually copy the location of this data set. So now you can replace the location here. Okay. And then remember to use /. Some computer might use the \, but make sure if yours is already in \, make sure you use the /, okay? So we are going to change all this \ to /. Okay, let's change it. Let me enlarge this. Okay. Now remember, the data itself is what? Is iris, right? So we are going to write iris.csv, okay? So there's the location, but for us to get the data itself, we have to bring iris. Some computer will eventually already give you that, but I don't have that, so iris.csv, okay? So once I have that, now I can go ahead and then I've changed all the backslash to forward slash, can go ahead and run it. So let me run that line. Okay, so once I have run it, now how do I see the data is ready? I can, let's say, use head. I may want to get the head of the data, okay? The head of the data give the first 6 observation of the data, so head of DF. So let me run it. So that gives me, so we have the separ length, separ weight, separ length, and then the petal and petal weight, and then the species. So there's the, and then even you can also get the names of the columns of the data or the variables in the data set. So we have names of DF. And once you run it, you can get the names of the data. Okay, so another way in which you can read a CSV file also is to use what is called the read.table, which allow you to use the function fread, okay? So first of all, we have to, again, you have to install the package and then make sure you activate the package by loading it, okay? So now it is ready for use. So now we can go ahead and use this function, okay? So we are naming our data set DF2, okay? And we are going to use the same, we are going to use the same path, which is the iris.csv. So let me copy this path, okay? And then replace it over here. And that's what you also have to do. Make sure you locate the path of your data and you replace it here. Once you've done that, we can go ahead and then we run it. And again, you can get the head of the data. So DF2 and then DF2. Okay, so DF2, now it gives me the head, which is the first 6 observation, and then the names. And of course, if you want to view the data in SPSS, the data in R, you can actually do view, okay? View DF2. Now R opens it. So this is the data for the iris data, okay, which we imported from our, of course, iris data also exists as an inbuilt data for R, okay. Now, another also means to also read CSV file is to also use the import function. But before you use the import function, first of all, you have to install a package called the real package. And then once you have installed, I have already installed that package, so I have to activate or load that package, which I have loaded. Now, I'm going to import that same data set, but now I'm naming the data DF3, or let's say I can even name it iris DF3, okay? So now let me run it. So I can put the cursor on that line and then run it. Okay, so it says, oops, this file does not exist because I haven't put in the what? The path, okay? So I have to undo. I have to copy this path again. And then I have to copy this path and replace it here, okay? And then now I can go ahead and run it. Now it has run. And then I can also do the same thing. So I can say that head, I want to see the first 6 observation of iris DF. So DF3, now I have it, okay? If I want to know the dimension of the data, I can say dim, which is, so remember this is a data frame, so of iris df3. So now it's having 150 observation, and the number of variables in there is what, 9. So 150 rows and then 9 columns. Okay. Okay, so that's it. So now what if you also want to export the data? Okay, let's assume you've been able to clean the data set and now you want to export the data. So let's assume that we have this data, which is iris df3, and then we have cleaned this data. Okay, so we want to export the data after we have cleaned the data. Okay, so now what we can do is we use what is called the export function. Now the export function is also coming from the real package, okay? So we want to use the export function. So in order to use the export function, we said, what are you exporting? We are exporting iris df3, okay? And then what is the name you are giving to that data you are exporting, okay? Let us say we are giving it iris underscore clean data, okay? Now you can hit on, now it have exported. But the question now becomes, how do I know this data have been exported? Now, to know this data have been exported, what you can do is just to go to your document. In my case, this data, I can find the data in my document. You can actually go down to your file here, and then you can locate your document, and that is where, so look at, here is where the iris data, iris clean data, okay? But then you can see it is found in my document. But so I just have to go to my document to see that it says verify yourself. I go into my document and then let me see. Okay, so I have it here. So I can now click on it. So this become a new data in which, of course, I can import it and use it at any time for my analysis, right? So if you don't like the location where R by default exported it, you can just copy it and then, or cut it from there and paste it in a folder you actually want, okay?